Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Class Prabhu.
Yeah, undandi. You have 100 years life because you were just talking about you that you will be online. It is the new Zoom link, the one that you set up.
Sure.
Yeah. So I see 3 people here. So Satish is there, you are there, and then we have Nitin and Gopal in the room. Ravi is also coming. Okay, good. What happened? Jayapal suddenly dropped off. The moment I said, yeah. Okay. Anyway, he'll come back. Maybe he's on his way. Okay. So without much delay, let's get started. Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 7, right? Or 8? 7, right? We didn't go to 8 yet. Okay. 7, which verse?
14.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, because we completed this, right? Goodness, passion, ignorance are manifested by energy. Yeah. And then we completed 14 also, but we can repeat it. Daivihesha
Daivihisha
Gunamayi
Gunamayi
Mama Maya
Mama Maya
Duratyaya
Duratyaya
Mamevaye
Mamevaye Prapadyante
Mayamitam
Mayametam
Tarantite.
Sarantite.
So Krishna is saying, in the previous verse he said, everything is made out of these 3 modes. Now he's saying, this energy consisting of 3 modes is difficult to overcome, right? And we see this battle within ourselves on a daily basis. Some days we are able to do, some days we are not able to do, right? This battle is happening within our own hearts on a daily basis, right? Has innumerable energies. Godhead has innumerable energies, and all these energies are divine, right? And all the living entities are parts and parcel. Due to contact with material nature, their original superpower, superior power rather, what happens to that? Is being covered. Being thus covered by material energy, one cannot possibly overcome its influence. Because we are covered by material energy, what happens? We cannot possibly overcome its influence. What is its? The 3 modes, right? So the fact that we are in material world means 3 modes are guaranteed to act, right? So how do you get out of this effect of the 3 modes?
Only by surrendering.
No, surrendering is a substrate, right? It's a foundation. Everybody has to surrender. But on a daily basis, how do you get out of it?
Doing transcendental activities and just
Yes, doing transcendental activities, which is a big bucket, right? It's a very big bucket. So you have to do one of the transcendental activities or all 6 of the transcendental activities. What are those activities?
Shravanam,
Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam,
Prasadam,
Padasevanam,
Archanam,
Vandanam, and other things are more advanced. So if you do these first 6, you are protected.
Prasadam is not part of that.
Prasadam will help you chant.
Okay.
So say Annamrita Pavo, Radha Krishna Gunagao. So the Annamrita goes in, Radha Krishna chanting comes out as a output. Input is Prasadam, output is chanting. So they're all related. So that's why Prasadam is not counted there. For that matter, then somebody will say, oh, will coming to temple count? Yeah, coming to temple will count in your Shravanam and Kirtanam. Yeah, no problem. Yeah. As previously stated, both the material and spiritual energies, being emanations from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are what? Are eternal. The living entities belong to eternal superior nature of the Lord, but due to contamination by nature, matter, illusion is also eternal. Hare Krishna. So not only are we eternal, we came at the right time. Illusion is also eternal. The Maya is also eternal.
It's an energy of
Yeah, it is energy of Krishna. How do you cross energy of Krishna? Right? You cannot even cross the energy of the city government. Forget crossing about the energy of Krishna. So, Devi Yesha Gunamai, that's what Krishna is saying. Dear Mr. Soul, you cannot cross this energy because this is my energy. Right? Then comes what you just said. The surrender aspect comes. Ma mevaye prapadyante, maya metam tarantite, means crossover. Taran means walking over, basically, crossing over. And how do you cross over? Just like a calf crosses over, like in the rainy season, there is a little small puddle made, right? What happens to the puddle? It's filled with water. So the calf easily crosses over, just puts a leg and just crosses over some other puddle created by one more calf walking in front of it. Very easy. So this whole material ocean just becomes a small puddle with water, right? Do you think it's very difficult for you to cross a puddle of water? And the puddle of water is only the size of that little boy's leg. Calf's leg is even smaller than your leg, by the way. Your leg is like this, calf's leg is like this, right? It is more rectangular. Our leg is more, it's more square. Our leg is more rectangular, right? So Krishna is saying, dear Mr. Soul, how can you cross this? This is my energy. Srila Prabhupada says here, illusion is also eternal. Not only you are eternal, Maya is also eternal. So eternal living entity covered by eternal Maya. Where is the scope of getting out? Is it possible? No, you have to do devotional service. Since we missed the boat of becoming a brahmachari like that elevated gentleman there, we have to figure out other ways, right? Best thing is to become a brahmachari and stay a brahmachari. I've seen some of my godbrothers who got married later in private, they shared with me. Somehow it happened, Prabhu. What do you mean somehow it happened? You only got married now. Yeah, I got tempted. Right? But I've been watching this Prabhu for 10 years. Rohini Puri Prabhu. He's been coming for 10 years. No deviation. Keeps on going like that. So we missed that boat. Did we not miss that boat? We missed that boat. Now we have to make the best use of a bad bargain. Prabhupada used to use this. It's a bad bargain. You give $10 and you get only $1 worth of stuff back. That is what family life is. So much goes, right? I was about to come to class. My wife said, milk khatam ho gaya. My mother-in-law said, milk khatam ho gaya. Then I ran to Trader Joe's, came here. As a consequence, I'm late to class. Right? You have to balance so many things. Grihastha life means, does it ever end, Prabhu? Does it ever end? It's a music that never ends. You cannot even think it ends, right? My daughter today was saying, yeah, then I will do 3 more years of bachelor, then I'll do masters. I said, won't you get married and leave us? She said, no, I'll stay with you. So, so she's saying, I won't go, I will be with you. You have to bear me. We had this conversation only a few days ago. So this music never ends. This Grihastha music. You are somewhere in between. Like, you are a little lucky. You are a little lucky. So this music never ends. But you have to put an end to this music. But how do you put an end to this music? Not by artificially leaving your family and running away. How? By doing devotional service. When you do devotional service and your family also does devotional service, naturally these tendencies will go away. Today, like 5 o'clock, door knocked our bedroom. I opened it. My daughter, take me to temple Mangalarti. I was not coming up, but she woke up. Right? Somehow or the other, if your family becomes Krishna conscious, gradually they will only realize, okay, we have to let Papa go. He has to do bigger things in his spiritual life. Right? Otherwise, they will hang on to you till the point of death. And even at the point of death, they won't leave you. They'll get a paper. Daddy, can you sign this before you die? You know what that paper is? How property is getting divided. I've seen this happen actually in my family. The old man is dying inside, and all the kids are discussing. Grandkids are there. Arey, you'll take that house, you'll take this house. We have to decide with daddy. He's dying. Before he dies, we have to decide. They are not worried about the old man dying. They are worried about who is getting which house. Especially if you have more property, like you have 2 houses, then you have 2 houses, how many kids? 2 kids, right? It's okay. If you have 3 kids and 2 houses, then it's a big problem. Right? Then they'll say, Arey, how to divide this house? They're not thinking daddy is having kidney dialysis inside. How to divide this house? Maybe I'll get 1/4 of house 1, and then we'll have second house half and half. Arey, no, that house is more expensive. Maybe it will be not 1/4 but 30%. So you'll be dividing it like this. Right? This is what's going to happen. People will fight over our property. So how to cross over Maya? Mamevaye prapadyante Maya metam tarantite. That's what's there in the verse, right? I'm not making it up. Mamevaye prapadyante means to the degree that you surrender unto me, Maya metam tarantite. Yeah. So Srila Prabhupada also says no one can trace in the history when we became conditioned. The soul became conditioned, right? Condition means stuck in this material body. We don't even remember when we got conditioned. Long time ago. And from there on, we are changing bodies. So that's why Prabhupada's that display that we put in Ananda Mela, what is it called? Changing bodies display. Have you seen that? Like a small boy and then man with muscles and all that. Later on the body becomes small and he dies. And then goes into the next body. Right? So that's a very important thing. We are constantly changing bodies. That display is not called death and birth. It's called changing bodies. Which means you as the soul are constantly changing bodies. That's the message of Bhagavad Gita. Right? Inferior material nature is defined herein as divine nature due to its divine connection. Right? What does Krishna say? That this nature is actually divine. Daivi hi esha gunamai. Daivi means what? Divine. He says this damn matter that you hate every day is actually divine. Why is it divine?
Coming from Krishna.
It's coming from Krishna. So we should not be frustrated at anything or any situation. Why? Why? It is divine. So be very careful even when you are walking over this carpet. This carpet is not to be walked on. This is also divine nature. Right? Everything is Krishna's divine nature. So one of my relative, every day before he sets foot from his bed, he prays to earth, then he puts his foot down. He says, dear Mother Earth, sorry I have to walk on you. Because what is it? Divine nature. Isn't it true? Devi hi esha gunamai. Krishna doesn't say material hi esha gunamai. He says Devi hi esha gunamai. So that's why you have to be very careful. Right? People come and bang the door, make holes in the temple. Right? Some kids made hole while walking up the steps. Come on, this is the temple, man. You would not even do that to Microsoft. So why would you do to the temple? Right? Why would you make a hole in the temple? Devi Isha Gunamai. Yeah. Very careful. Being constructed by divine will, Srila Prabhupada says. What happens?
7:14.
You're looking if there are any holes.
Yeah.
No, I used to remember one devotee, whenever there is a holes, he would get his own materials with a can of paint and like, what is that called?
Caulking.
Caulking. He would caulk it, paint without anybody telling. Because he has understood this message. Devi Yesha Gunamaya. So, by being conducted by divine will, material nature, although inferior. Did you vacuum this carpet today? Oh, good. So you are remembering your service. acts so wonderfully in the construction and destruction of cosmic manifestation, right? Although this is inferior, yes, it's Krishna's energy, it is Daivi, it is also inferior. It's not superior energy. Superior energy is there in the spiritual world, right? But why is it Daivi? Because it takes part in cosmic creation and destruction, right? Pralaya, what is Pralaya? Destruction. And then what is Satyuga? That is again creation, right? So the cycle is going on. Then Vedas confirm Mayam tu Prakritim Vidyan, Mayinam tu Maheshwaram. Although Maya is false or temporary, the background of Maya is the supreme magician. Who is that? Krishna, personality of God, Guru Maheshwara, the supreme controller. Right? So this point was realized by Kunti Devi. In Srimad Bhagavatam, she says, "Oh my dear Krishna, you are Nateshwar. You are acting like an actor. You pretend to be my nephew. Nephew, right? But you are not my nephew. You are the great magician." She says that. You are the great magician. So she says, lift your veil. Right? The Muslim girls, they wear veil. Right? But of course, in front of their husband at home, they have to lift the veil, right? So she says, lift your veil of this illusory energy. Hiranyamaya patrena. Patra. Patra means like a thin veil, like a leaf basically, right? So you're hiding behind this leaf or you're hiding behind this veil. So lift this veil, she says. Which means she understood this philosophy of Maya, right? Normally we don't go to Krishna and pray like that, right? Oh Krishna, please lift your veil. Please remove the illusory energy so that I can see you. Do you pray like that? No. But she is self-realized. So that's why we should follow self-realized souls, right? On our own, we cannot do anything. So we have to follow either Brahma or Kunti or Yashoda or Hanuman or Prabhupada. For us, Prabhupada following is easy because he's recent, right? We still have videos of him. Do you have video of Hanumanji? Kunti Devi video is there. We don't have. So for us, it's easy to follow. How Prabhupada lived, we just simply copy actually. Prabhupada, whatever he did, we just do it. He said chant 16 rounds, chant 16 rounds. No meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex, follow it. He said at some point you have to give up family life and become a sannyasi, follow it. You follow just what Prabhupada did. Prabhupada did the same thing, right? He took care of his kids, got them married, then he took sannyas. Right? So just follow. Just follow, that is sufficient. Anyhow, we have missed the boat of brahmachari. We can get our kids trained in that, right? Like that's what Agnidev Prabhu tries to do with Hari, right? Always he's hanging around, Hari, come with me, do Mridanga, Hari, come with me to Sankirtan. Because he wants to kind of train young boys like that too. Because he knows we are gone cases. Practically speaking, yes? Yeah, we are too old. Cannot be trained. So his focus is on young boys, basically, so that they can be trained and molded into something fantastic. Of course, our training is, we missed a brahmachari, so we have to prepare for Grihastha? Kya baat kar rahe ho? You're already halfway through Grihastha, man. Yeah, Vanaprastha. Yeah. Grihastha, we have to
Still
fulfill our duties. There are two kinds of duties in Grihastha also. One duty is towards Krishna and one duty is towards your, and you have to do both, right? So Veg Fest, Facebook page, get some sponsors. Our sponsors coming, sir? You get some. Initially, it looks like that. See, when you were born, did you think that you will work in Seattle as a software engineer? Right? How did you come to this elevated position in material life? Sadhana, practice, right? Bachelor's degree. No, first middle school, high school, bachelor's degree, H1B visa, coming here, training, whatever. You learn so many programming languages. It didn't happen in one day. And you put so much effort into it, right? Same thing, if you put effort into it, Krishna will reciprocate. Ultimately, don't think you are doing it. Who is doing it? He himself is doing it, actually. He himself is doing it. I remember when we were building this temple, we were short of funds. So they said, oh, let's do Kirtan. This was in 2004. All devotees got together, did Kirtan. Magically funds came, temple got completed. So it's not like you are building the temple, right? You just nimitta matra, just do your simple activity. He will run the show. He has created this universe. Can he not build a small temple? Think about it, right? He has created this universe. Can he not create a small temple? But why does he not immediately do things?
He wants us to.
He wants us to do our part. Right? Everything should not be like, and everything should come into your mouth like that. You have to do something, right? He has given you a body. You have to do something. So that's why he doesn't do everything on his own. Otherwise, he can pretty much run the whole show himself and he'll just keep you on the side. Then you will not be satisfied. Then what did I do? Right? So, Prabhupada, somebody asked Prabhupada, we can do this, we can do this. He said, yes, I've done some. Now you do some. He told his disciples, right? Now I've given you some more service to do. You do this. In the same way, Prabhupada's disciples have done some. Now we should do some. Otherwise, what is our contribution to society? Right? And it will be zero. So we should do some. So that is where your role comes in. Keep trying. It's not like you are doing. Magically, like Jayapal called a few people, somebody said, oh, okay, I'll take on both. Right? It will come. Initial days, Balram Leela used to like be the phone guy. He would call like 100 people. 2 people will come. That's good. 2 out of 100. What's wrong with 2 out of 100, right? And now people are competing. Oh, I want a booth in Anand Mela. I want this spot. Sorry, the spot is already taken. Right? Now we are in the demanding position. It took us 10 years, but now we are in the demanding position. Yeah. Commanding position, I should say, not demanding. Commanding position. So try.
Prabhuji, will you be able to come tomorrow, Prabhuji, to Seattle Veg Fest?
Balram Leela Prabhu. Yeah, Balram Leela Prabhu is retired, right? I mean, he is in Bombay right now. He bought one flat here, one flat in Kent or something. He gets it out to rent. He lives with that money. Retirement is what? Chanting. There's no retirement in Krishna
He's
consciousness.
running some management courses.
Yeah, he does that.
Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, you know, what he does is he goes to CEO. He's a CEO life coach.
Yeah.
So he will just talk to various CEOs. That is just an excuse. Ultimately, the goal is to bring them to Krishna consciousness.
So he's fully into
He is fully into that. Yeah. Financially, he doesn't have any problem, right? I mean, he has 2 apartments. He rents them out. He gets the income. He can live happily, even if he doesn't do anything else. But in preaching, he does a few things like that. So that is our point. So do your duty. Krishna will run the show. He'll amazingly run the show. You'll be surprised. Right? When we were building the temple, that one lady in City Hall, she was not giving us permit. Krishna transferred her. She went somewhere else. And the next guy gave us permits. Right? So it's not like somebody may say, okay, I won't let this happen. Either that fellow will die or get transferred. Of course, Krishna is not so cruel to kill that person, but the lady got transferred, or her husband got transferred, so she went and somebody else came and gave us permits. Right? Magic will happen. But we have to do our part. You cannot just say, okay, Krishna, you build your own temple. He said, what are you going to do? So we have to do our part in terms of whether temple, farm community, so many things are happening in ISKCON right now. Guna means rope. It is to be understood that conditioned soul is tightly tied by ropes of illusion. Follow along in the book. Why? Why is it tightly tied in the ropes of illusion? The key is given few paragraphs before. Why? Illusion is dash. Eternal. Krishna's energy, and it is eternal. You cannot escape from it. Next life you will take birth, again illusion will be there. How do you get out of it? That is what. He must be helped by a person who is unbound. So spiritual masters' hands are not tied. Your hands are tied. So how do you open your tied hands? Spiritual master comes and he unties you. Right? You cannot untie yourself. Your friend who is also ignorant cannot untie himself. His hands are also tied. Your sister, brother, mother, son, grandson, grandfather, nobody can untie you. Why? They are also tied. So how can they untie you? So that's where spiritual master comes into picture, to untie you.
Prabhuji, one question.
Hmm.
We just said that illusion is eternal.
Hmm.
But then again in the previous paragraph, we say Vedas confirm, although Maya is false or temporary.
Mhm. Yeah,
But then
it is eternal, but it is temporary, because in every lifetime you are going through this eternal illusion. For this lifetime, it is temporary, isn't it? Because you have a chance to get out. You have a chance to get out. But we are foolish, so we are not getting out. So both are true. Scriptures are never wrong. Scriptures are always correct. Therefore, only Lord Krishna or his bona fide representative, the spiritual master, can release the conditioned soul. Without such superior help, one cannot be freed from bondage of material nature. So you need superior help. We all need superior help on a daily basis. So we have to read Prabhupada's books and take advice from seniors, right? Sometimes your spiritual master may be so busy, he may not have time to give you the individual attention. Sometimes he may be able to give you. Right?
Sometimes you take an advice. First of all, it is not practical to take advice on every point, but let's say you take advice and sometimes you apply your own thinking also. So it becomes a kind of this thing. If I am not following what I asked him, am I offending him, or why am I thinking from?
We are all offenders. We are all offenders, right? Because we are not fully following Krishna's instruction around surrender. But we are less offenders than majority of the world. And that's how it is. We have to come to a point of totally not offending Krishna by fully understanding his instructions through the spiritual master. Because if you show interest, spiritual master's instructions would be very different. Like this person who was working in T-Mobile, he approached my spiritual master for initiation, and he got initiated in Seattle. And spiritual master asked him, so what do you want to do? I don't like all these things that happen. People are getting married, having kids. I just want to remain brahmachari all my life. He said, okay, you come to Ujjain. We have shortage of brahmacharis there. You go and do book distribution there. Now they've started Ujjain Rath Yatra. So many things are happening. He's there. T-Mobile employee, just like you and me. He quit. He went. So spiritual master will see the level of sincerity in our heart and give appropriate guidance. But then we need urban preachers also, right? So you have to pick. There are basically 2 or 3 paths. One path is you're an urban preacher. You earn money in a company and you give good amount of donations so that the mission will continue, the movement will continue. Right? If you don't give good amount of donations, we'll become attached, greedy and attached. Right? Second option, you go live on a farm community. Right? And grow your own food, make your own cloth. That's one lifestyle. Third option, of course, that doesn't work for us, but become a brahmachari, do big distribution from morning till evening. That's it. There are no 4th, 5th, 6th options, really speaking. If you are heavily in touch with material energy, which is what we all are, because we are every day in contact with hundreds of non-Krishna conscious devotee, me more so than you guys, because I travel a lot and I meet with so many different people in different client situations, different companies, different mentalities. So I'm constantly in contact with material energy. So when I earn that money, I have to give that so that then I know, yes, I'm not working for myself, but I'm working for Krishna. Then your work becomes work for Krishna.
In our schedule, like by the time you get up in the morning, I remember myself almost running late, so 7 or 6:30, 7.
Yeah, whatever.
I don't have a time. yeah, meeting this work, meeting this. By the time you realize it's like 6:37 in the evening.
Yeah.
So like the process of actually remembering Krishna throughout the day, like probably you can count like did you remember Krishna once or twice? Like how do you go like in your way? How do you go throughout your day? That
Like when I'm on the flight, I chant. When I'm in the airport, I chant. When I'm in the hotel room, I chant. During lunchtime or something, I chant. So I force myself to think about Krishna. Right? If you have a car, you go during lunchtime, sit in your car, start on the AC, and chant. Nobody's stopping you, right? So that way you force yourself to think of Krishna. Because what are other people doing? They're going to this taco restaurant, that restaurant, and they're eating. So you don't go with them, and then you go to your car and chant. So there is time to chant there also. Like Arun Lakshmanan, he has a small clicker. He's a pretty senior person, senior director in Microsoft. Arun Lakshmanan, he comes once in a while. And he's on WhatsApp. You'll see the Pundarikaksha, not Purushottam, yeah. You will see his messages and all that. He chants. He travels to Poland a lot because there is a Microsoft office there. He travels to India a lot because of offshore. He travels all the world, but he's still chanting. He he's always chanting this 16. So it is possible. The more you are in contact with material energy, the more we should chant. Because otherwise we might get sucked into that. No, but you'll be sucked more into it. There are two kinds, right? One, you are on the banks of the Daldal. Second is you are in the Daldal. So which is more dangerous? Here, death is sure if you are in the Daldal. Spiritual death is sure. Assured, guaranteed. Like I went to Chicago last week. So I made it a point, drive 1 hour from my office to the temple. I waited there till Shayanarthi. I sang the Shayanarthi. Then I drove for 1 hour back to my hotel. So that day is protected. I have to do those things. And yeah, they had an interesting thing. The second day I didn't go to the temple. What I did was, there was a front desk lady. She's a Spanish lady, Mexican origin. So I said, hi, how are you? I said, good. I said, what do you do? I go to high school. I do this part-time job. I said, do you want to chant a mantra? I said, what is a mantra? I told her, explain. Then I asked her to chant. She chanted the mantra very nicely. I said, to chant again. She chanted very nicely. I said, chant again. She chanted third time. Then I said, okay, you have a computer? Yeah, go to vedabase.com. Then I said, click on Bhagavad Gita. Then I asked her to read 2.13. Dehinosmin yata dehe. She said, yeah. I said, you're a soul, you're not a body. Yeah, my uncle and aunt are also doing this in Mexico. I said, what do they do? Yeah, they stopped eating meat and they are, into this. They went to India also. Right? So you never know, right? So then I asked her to chant a full round. She chanted. Then I explained to her, not full round, but a few more mantras. Then we went to 2.13, we went to 2.62, Dhyayato Vishapumsha, explained to Bhagavad Gita. Then as I was explaining, some more customers came. She said, I have to attend to my customers. Then I took a break. I got some hot water and had some herbal tea. Then I came back. I said, you're still interested? Yeah. Then we had some more Bhagavad Gita discussion. Then I called Janavatsal Prabhu, who is from Mexico. I said, Prabhu, you talk to. And then she said, Espanol? He said, yeah, Espanol. Then they started talking in Spanish. Then he preached to her in Spanish, basically talked about Krishna. And then I was there at the front desk for 45 minutes. It was a Bhagavad Gita class. Last Wednesday was my Bhagavad Gita class in Marriott Hotel, no, Hyatt Hilton Hotel lobby. Right? So we talked chapter 2. We went through many verses. She read. I asked her to read loudly. She was reading in English. High school student. She was yet to go to college. But she's doing part-time to make some money like that. Right? So a preaching opportunity is there 24/7. Wherever you go, there are souls waiting for you. Then she said, now I understand why my uncle and aunt don't eat meat. Because in Mexico, we like to eat meat a lot. But we were surprised why these people are not eating meat. Because I told her, these 4 regulative principles and everything like that.
So somebody asked me, like, we talk about this four evaluative principles: no meat eating, gambling, intoxication, base sex. Where is it mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita or in the Shastras?
It's mentioned many places. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it's mentioned. Canto 11, it is mentioned. Tataschu anadharnam dharma saka kshama daya bhalena rajin. No, wait. Tatascha anudinam dharma satyam saucham kshama daya kalena balina rajan nungshatuhayu balam spratihi. In Kali Yuga, these characteristics, 4 plus a few more things that are mentioned in that, about 7 things are mentioned. They all go down. So for Satyam, one should not gamble. A gambler never tells the truth. Saucham, cleanliness, one should not have illicit sex. Kshama, tolerance, one should not do intoxication. And Daya, no, actually Kshama is Shama and Daya anyway. One is for meat eating and one is for intoxication. This is very clearly said in Srimad Bhagavatam. So it's not like Prabhupada never made up anything. Whatever he said has scriptural basis. He never made up anything. So when he said don't eat these, don't do these 4 bad things, these are not made up. They are there in the scriptures. Okay, therefore surrender unto lotus feet of the Lord is the only base to get out of the flee of the clutches of stringent material nature. Mam means unto Krishna only, not to Brahma or Shiva or any of the demigods or Sai Baba or Meher Baba or Vivekananda. None of that counts. Mam means Krishna or Vishnu. That's it. End of story. It's not possible for such incarnations of Rajoguna passion and Tamoguna ignorance to release the conditioned souls from clutches of Maya. So these incarnations come in Rajo and Tamo. Brahma is in Rajogun. That's why he's able to create stuff. And Shiva is in Tamogun temporarily. Of course, he's a pure devotee, but his role is such that he is always in contact with Tamogun. In other words, both Brahma and Shiva are also under the influence of Maya. Only Vishnu is the master of Maya. Therefore, he alone can give release to the conditioned soul. The Vedas confirm this. Tameva viditva. Freedom is only possible by understanding Krishna. Even Lord Shiva affirms that liberation can be achieved only by mercy of Vishnu. Lord Shiva says, Mukti pradata sarvesham Vishnur evana samshayaha. So if somebody says Shiva is supreme, you should say, do you know what Shiva says? Shiva says, Mukti pradata sarvesham Vishnur evana samshayaha. So pradata of mukti is Vishnu, and Vidata is also Vishnu. Vidata is also Vishnu. Everything is Vishnu, right? Brahma is just an agent of Vishnu to do that job. Indirectly, Brahma is the Vidata, but primarily, Vishnu is everything. Pradata, Vidata, everything. There is no doubt that Vishnu is the deliverer of liberation for everyone. Why? Because if Lord Shiva himself says it, it's got to be true. Because Shiva is the one who destroys everything. And he's saying, if you want mukti at the point of destruction, then you have to take shelter of Vishnu. Okay. Then he goes on to describe why people don't surrender. So he says, why people don't surrender, and then he will give you examples of people who surrender. So the bad guys and the good guys. So good guys will come later. First he's describing the bad guys. Namam dushkritino Mudaha prapadyante naradhamaha Mayaya aparhita jnana. It's a big sandhi, right? Maya means something relating to Maya. Apaharita means stolen. Jnana means intelligence. So Maya steals your intelligence. Okay. Ashuram bhavam ashritaha. So People who become asuras, or actually there's nothing called asura, ashura bhavam. You acquire the nature, asuric nature. Because soul is neither asuric nor daivic. Soul is a servant of God, right? So some servants become daivas, devatas, because they follow God's instructions, but they don't follow fully. They follow 80%, 90%. That's what they are called devatas. Asuras, they follow 1%. So 99% they don't follow. Therefore, they are called asuras. Because even asuras follow some things, right? They love their mother and father. It's not like they're chopping off their mother and father's heads. If somebody else comes, they'll chop off their head. But they're respectful to their mother and father. Like Ravana was very respectful to his mother, very respectful to his wife, right? Yeah.
He
One
is
day.
not respectable to his wife. Prabhu.
Somewhat. Asuras, for Ravana, that is already a great standard, right? He didn't divorce his wife. Modern asuras divorce their wives. He didn't divorce their
Their
wife.
time it's allowed. That's why.
He had more than 1,000 wives.
So Ravana is more than that.
Yeah. When Hanuman goes, he sees so many beautiful women in Ravana's palace. They're all drunk and half naked. Then he says, I don't want to go in. That's somebody's bedroom, right? Initially enters, then he gets out. Somebody's bedroom, his wives are all there. Yeah. It's described in Ramayana. You have to go and read it. Yeah. And he says, they're all very beautiful. Therefore, I could not stay there. He's a brahmachari, right? What business he has looking at other people's wives? So he gets out. So, dushkritano means miscreants. Moodaha, foolish. Nara adamaha means
Lowering
adhama means low, uttama means high. Nara adama means
lowering.
lowest, even amongst men, lowest quality. And then mayaya paharita jnana, people whose knowledge is stolen by illusion. And people who have taken to the demoniac nature, because soul is not demoniac, they've just taken to that nature, right? Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender to me. By the way, we cannot do what Ravana did. He used to wake up every day of Mangalarti time. Are we doing? Even demons do that. And he used to do Brahman worship, and he used to do Shiva worship, right? So modern asuras are worst category. Ravana was very superior. From a demonic perspective, he is much higher than any of these rascals that are floating around today, right? What do modern rascals do? Nothing. They come to office, they pass stool and urine there, no bath. They shave in their cars coming to office, right? They eat and then they don't wash their hands, and with the same hand they give you a shake hand. Right? What kind of one CIO in Microsoft was caught. His name was Scott something. He was caught having sex with his secretary right in the office. Then they caught and they fired him during Steve Ballmer's time. Yeah. So those are called modern asuras. It is said in Bhagavad Gita, simply surrendering oneself unto lotus feet of Supreme Personality, Krishna, one can surmount the stringent laws of material nature. At this point, a question arises. How is it that educated philosopher, scientist, businessman, administrator, and all leaders of ordinary men do not surrender to lotus feet of Sri Krishna? Because these people are even higher, right? Like in terms of material knowledge, they're higher, like educated, PhDs, scientists. Mukti or liberation from laws of material nature is sought by leaders of mankind in different ways, with great plans and perseverance for great many years and births. Right? These people are also wanting liberation, but they are trying to do it through science, through Tesla car, iPad. But none of them will give you liberation. They'll only tie you down. But if that liberation is possible by simply surrendering to lotus feet of Supreme Personality, then why don't these intelligent and hardworking leaders adopt this method? Right? That is Prabhupada's rhetorical question. Because he tried and none of them were interested. He went to university professors, he went to politicians initially when he came. Then he said, okay, you're all gone case. Then he went on the streets, chanted Hare Krishna, and hippies took it up. And hippies became happies. So those people missed out, whoever he was trying to preach to first. The Gita answers this question very frankly. Those really learned leaders of society like Brahma, Shiva, Kapila, Kumaras, Manu, Vyasa, Devala, Asita, Janaka, Prahlada, Bali, and later. So until Bali, those are called the Mahajans. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There are only 11 here. I don't know why the 12th one is missing, but in any case.
Bhishma is answered.
Yes.
Bhishma. So if you add Bhishma, then they are 12. And later Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and many others who are faithful philosophers, politicians, educators, etc., surrender to the lotus feet of the Supreme Person, the all-powerful authority. Those who are not actually philosophers, scientists, educators, etc., but who pose themselves for material gain, do not accept the plan or path. So all these so-called materially intelligent people are actually actors. They're acting. They're not really intelligent. Intelligence means these people who are in that other category, Brahma, Shiva, Kapila, like that. But even Brahma and Shiva are noted to be not completely pure, right? Remember? That was said in the previous verse. So Krishna's standard is pretty high. They have no idea of God. They simply manufacture their worldly plans and consequently complicate the problems of material existence. See, they say Tesla is, for example, right, is going to save fossil fuels, no pollution. But do you think there is enough lithium in the entire world to make Tesla for everyone? There isn't. So there'll be a great battle as more and more cars are made. There'll be battle for lithium. So either you have to pay 100,000 for a car, or you find other ways. So it's not like there is a solution for every problem. It's only for a few people it will work, right? When there were only cars for a few rich people in India, India was not polluted. Now everybody bought car, what happened? It's a big mess. India has become a big mess. Delhi, Hyderabad. So it was okay when a few rich people drove. At least you should think, okay, he's a Kirloskar owner, so he should have a car. Let me go on my bicycle. Okay, now I also want a car. Then city became big time mess. Because material energy is so powerful, it can resist the unauthorized plans of atheists and baffle the knowledge of planning commissions. Why did Prabhupada use this term, planning commission?
Because he actually went and proposed to the United Nations.
Yeah. He went to proposal to Indira Gandhi also. India has planning commissions. Panchavarsha Pranalika. Have you heard of the term? Yeah. Those are called planning commissions. The atheistic plan makers are described herein by the word Dushkritanaha. Namam Dushkritino Muda. Prapadhyante Naradama. What is next?
Maya Parita.
Maya Aparita Jnana
Asuram Bhavam.
Ashuram Bhavam Ashritaha. People who take shelter of Asuric qualities. Soul is not Asuric. Right? So the same Jaya and Vijaya, when they became Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, who else? Ravana, Kumbhakarna, and then Kamsa and, not Kamsa, Kamsa is Kalnemi. Who else? We don't even know this. Who else? Shishupala and Dantavakra. Those are like lightweight characters. Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu were heavyweight characters. So they took Ashurim, Tanum, Ashritam. They took the bodies of demons. And they took shelter of demoniac nature.
So
Nature.
the third was Shishupal.
Shishupal and Dantavakra. Yeah, I know very well that they are Shishupal. But they are not in the same category as, they are not as powerful as Ravana. They are not as powerful as
Saying that they
Hiranyaksha.
are so much powerful after that their power is also there.
Yes. First was super powerful, Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu. Then Ravana, Kumbhakarna, little less. Ravana is not that powerful. You know what?
Bali.
Yeah, he just holds him like this. And then he's like, he cannot even move. Vali can hold of Ravana means, think about it. He's not super powerful. So, in the Gita, it is clearly mentioned material energy works fully under the direction of who? Supreme Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. It has no independent authority. It works as the shadow moves in accordance with the movement of the object. This is a very interesting point. Once Prabhupada went to Italy, they said, if God is all great, why there is evil? Right? Srila Prabhupada said, look at the sun. I'm standing here, my shadow is behind. So wherever there is sun, there is shadow also. In the same way, wherever there is all-powerful God, there will be some shadow of this negativity. But you have to overcome it. You just overcome it and then you're good. It's not like Maya cannot be overcome. Under illusion and modes of passion and ignorance, all his plans are baffled. As in the case of Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu is also one of our gurus. You know why? He teaches you how not to do things. Right? Actually, he's well learned, right? When Hiranyaksha dies, Hiranyakashipu in Srimad Bhagavatam talks about signs of the soul.
Yes.
He tells his mother, don't you know soul is eternal? Then it sounds like Lord Krishna speaking. Because he's also a devotee of the Lord, right? He's Jaya, Vijaya, one of the two. He's Vijaya. Hiranyakashipu is Vijaya. Hiranyaksha is Jaya. But he's, why does he talk like that? Ashurim Bhavam Ashritaha. He has taken shelter of Asura qualities. Bhavam. He's not an Asura. We are also not Asuras. But right now we are taking Asuram Bhavam Ashritaha. We have become like Asuras because of material nature. So now we have to work our way back to first being a Devata and then becoming a pure devotee. So if you don't become a pure devotee, where is our destination? No, we go to Devaloka and we become a Devata. But what is the downside of becoming a Devata? You know what downside is, right? In business, they say upside, downside. What is downside?
With too much facility, you might get caught up over there.
Yeah, that is the less problem. What is the bigger problem?
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's
Time will be wasted. Okay. Yeah, that is the most important. When we come back, there will be more asuras than now. So when we do devotional service, not possible. So if you don't do it now, chance in here.
This is just 500 years or 5,000 years that started, and Kali Yuga was supposed to be the biggest yuga. You guided like 8.4. Whatever.
Yeah, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement is only for 10,000 years. So if you don't do it now, you are toast. You will be lunch for some asura. He'll cut open you and eat you when you come back next lifetime.
They've already started now. A lot of people do the cannibalism.
Yeah. Anyway, the ass does not really know for whom he works so hard day and night. He remains satisfied by filling his stomach with a bundle of grass, sleeping for a while under fear of being beaten, satisfying his sex appetite at the risk of being repeatedly kicked. The ass sings poetry and philosophy, but braying sound only disturbs others. This is the position of foolish fruitive worker who does not know for whom he should work. That includes all of us. We should work for Krishna.
This is definition of a typical IT guy.
Yeah. Repeatedly kicked. Fear of being beaten by his master. Simon satisfied by eating one bowl of Quaker oats or Post-it cereal in the morning. And you ask them to come for lunch. No, I have bill to do. I don't have time. Sages are fasting because they want to please Krishna, and IT workers are fasting because there is no time. Program is not compiling. Yeah, that's what it says, right? Fear of being beaten by his master. Most often, those who work very hard at night, day and night, to clear the burden of self-created duties. These are all self-created duties. When I graduated from engineering, my first job was 1200 rupees. I was happy then. Then it became 1500 rupees. I was happy. Then I joined Tata for 6000 rupees. I was happy. Same thing, right? Salary increased, but happiness didn't go up or down. It was the same. And now we make a lot more, but still same thing. Sometimes they spend sleepless day and night, like me. I take the overnight flight to East Coast. Sleepless night, right? You cannot sleep on a flight. For fruitive gain. And although they may have ulcers or indigestion, they're satisfied with practically no food. So what do we eat? Peanuts given by Delta Airlines. Simply absorbed in working hard day and night for benefit of illusory masters. Ignorant of their real master, the foolish worker wastes their valuable time serving mammon. This is a biblical term. Mammon means matter. That's like the old English, right? This is English at the time of Jesus. Material means mammon, basically. Unfortunately, they never surrender to Supreme Master of all masters, nor do they take time to hear of him from proper sources. Right? But for us, working is different purpose. Like, you work and sponsor the Rath Yatra cart, for example, right? Or you sponsor a farm community, for example, right? So for us, working is Krishna conscious. For a devotee, working is Krishna conscious, provided you give that money, use that money to, of course, 33% goes for taxes anyways. Whatever is left, maybe 50-70% of whatever is left goes for living. So you may have like a few $1,000s that you can use for Krishna conscious activity. But you should use it. Otherwise, then all these things apply to us. Right? What do these things? Remain satisfied, filling your stomach with a bundle of grass, which is the salads we eat. Practically no sleep, no food, absorbed working hard day and night. So Sudhakar was saying in Microsoft, they had an all hands meeting, and then the workers were complaining, oh, work has increased so much, no work-life balance. And the HR VP said, look, people are working hard in Google and in Facebook. You have two choices. You either work hard or you can go join the other companies. She clearly said that. Everybody was silent. So nowadays previously they used to be nice. Nowadays they are not even nice. Arey kaam karna to kar, nahi to bhag yahan se. Very clearly she said. The swine who eat the night soil, like swine means the pigs, night soil means stool, do not care to accept sweetmeats. Pigs are also very lucky. Huh? Sometimes they have sambar stool, sometimes they have palau stool, sometimes they have gulab jamun stool. They're also, maybe, the pigs get some flavor out of them. That's why they eat them. Continue to hear of the sense-enjoyable tidings of the flickering mundane world. Arey, Madhuri Dixit is like this. Amitabh Bachchan is like that. I don't watch modern movies, so when I watched movies, these were like the top guys. But we'll have very little time to hear about eternal living force that moves the material world. What is that eternal living force that moves the material world? In a way, but what is the proper eternal force? Prakriti krimanani gunai karmani sarvasaha ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. So Prakriti runs under the control of Super Soul, Krishna. Not directly Krishna. Krishna has no work to do, remember that. Krishna, does he have any work to do?
No.
He's Swarat. He's just playing the flute, teasing gopis, teasing his mother all the time. Mother is always stressed. Arey, my son, I give him so much butter at home, he goes to the neighboring homes and steals. Because neighboring homes, when he steals, he gets more pleasure out of that. So he steals the other thing. It's not like there's no butter at his own home. Right? So he's always putting mother in anxiety, gopis in anxiety, father in anxiety, devotees in anxiety. Why does he do that?
To increase the pleasure.
Yeah, in anxiety, you have more pleasure actually. If everything comes easily to you, you won't have pleasure. So Krishna is not so easily available. It's not so easily available. Another class is called Naradama, lowest of mankind. Nara means human being, Adama means lowest. Out of so many human species, there are only 400,000 human species. You can actually measure. In your office, if you have 50 people, each one of them will belong to one human species. Some are very animalistic, some are very godly, saintly. Right? You'll have the complete spectrum in your own office, you'll see, on a daily basis. You'll see. One person was saying, oh, in Germany, they don't have strict laws about transporting meat. So that's why the meat there is not good quality because it gets rotten. And the other person immediately said, that's why it tastes so good. So you know where he is right now. He is more like Gidad, because lions eat fresh meat and the jackals eat rotten meat, leftover meat. So he's more like the jackal consciousness. So even amongst your own office, you'll see this kind of consciousness. Civilized human beings are those who have regulated principles of social, political, and religious life. Those who are socially and politically developed but do not have religious principles must be considered Naradamas. Nor is religion without God religion, because the purpose of following religious principles is to know supreme truth, the man's relationship with him. Okay, Nitin, read from here.
In the Gita, the personality of Godhead clearly states that there is no authority above him and that he is the supreme truth. The civilized form of human life is meant for man's reviving the lost consciousness of his eternal relation with the supreme truth.
Yeah, so civilized form of human life means, unless you are in a big jungle, what is your purpose of human life? Reviving the lost consciousness. Means we already are Krishna conscious. We are all God conscious. But we lost it under influence of the three modes of material nature, which is Maya's energy. Right? Maya is the uber energy, and then there are these other things under it. Okay.
The lost consciousness of his eternal relation with the supreme truth, the personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, who is all powerful. Whoever loses this chance is classified as Naradama. We get information from revealed scriptures that when the baby is in the mother's womb, an extremely uncomfortable situation, he prays to God for deliverance and promises to worship him alone as soon as he gets up. To pray to God when he is in difficulty is a natural instinct in every living being because he is eternally related with God. But after his deliverance, the child forgets the difficulties of birth and forgets his deliverer also, being influenced by Maya, the illusory energy. It is the duty of the guardians of children to revive the divine consciousness dormant in them. The 10 processes of reformatory ceremonies, as enjoined in the Manusmriti, which is the guide to religious principles, are meant for reviving God consciousness in the system of Varnashram. However, no process is strictly followed now in any part of the world, and therefore 99.9% of the population is Naradama.
See? So that includes all of us too. Naradamas. Why? Because, now that we are into this movement and we are reading Bhagavad Gita, so we are trying to get out of that. But otherwise, who is following all these ceremonies, right? Like they say, baby shower. Baby shower is to remember God. Actually, that is the purpose, right? That is a samskara. What do? They serve meat in the baby shower. People are drinking. So it becomes into one more nonsense show. So everything becomes nonsense show. Especially in Andhra and Reddy marriages, they serve non-vegetarian. Marriage is a yajna, vivaha yajna. They are serving non-vegetarian because I used to go to Reddy marriages in Hyderabad.
So
Yes.
Prabhu, you're very right. My grandmother, like my mama and I, we used to eat meat as a thing, but she had a very strict rule that any festival or any marriages, even if somebody wants to eat it, he cannot do with it. So nothing has to be served.
Yeah, nothing should not be actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least that day you should remember God, right? I was like,
No, they had a very strict rule. Like marriage means like somebody wants or not, there's no question. It only has to be vegetarian. Now you're right, everything else goes.
now everything is catered, right?
Yes.
Like 1400 rupees a plate.
Oh yes.
Hyderabad, all this buffet, 20, 25, 30, 35 items will be there. And then you can eat. And then marriage, only the Purohit comes, he does a little bit of reciting mantras. Everything else is just catered. Who is cooking from scratch, right? Normally marriage means, no, for my sister's marriage, we call these people, they did Agni Puja and then they cooked. They would not eat till the full cooking is done. Even the cooks had some culture back then. I'm talking about 30 years ago. Nowadays, kuch nahi hai. I mean, it's there. I should not say kuch nahi hai. You have to find those people. It is still there, but it becomes a little difficult now. Okay, continue reading.
The whole population becomes Naradhama, naturally all their so-called education is made null and void and by all the powerful energy of physical nature. According to the standard of Gita, a learned man is he who sees on equal terms the learned Brahmana, the dog, the cow, the elephant, and the dog eater.
Brahmana Gavi Hastina. Right? There's a verse. Sunicha Swapakecha Pandita Samadarshina. Pandita should look at everybody equal. Pandita means somebody knows Bhagavad Gita, not Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. You know, he's actually not, he's not even actually Hindu. He's a Muslim. That whole family was Muslim. Yeah, Firoz. Yeah, so it's a Muslim family basically. It's not a Hindu family. Anyway.
That is the vision of a true devotee. Sri Nityanand Prabhu, who is the incarnation of Godhead as Divine Master, delivered the typical Naradhamas, the brothers Vidai and Madhai, and showed how the mercy of a real devotee is bestowed upon the lowest of mankind. So the Naradhama who is condemned by the personality of Godhead can again revive his spiritual consciousness only by the mercy of a devotee. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in propagating the Bhagavad Dharma or activities of the devotees, has recommended that people submissively hear the message of the personality of Godhead. The essence of this message is Bhagavad Gita. The lowest among human beings can be delivered by this submissive hearing process only, but unfortunately they even refuse to give an oral reception to these messages. And what to speak of surrendering to the will of the Supreme Lord. Radhamas, or the lowest of mankind, willfully neglect the prime duty of the human being.
Willfully means consciously. Even if somebody is willing to give that knowledge, they'll say, no, I don't have time for this. Right? Like all of your friends and relatives. Who is listening? Anybody listening? Nobody.
The next class of Dushkriti is called Maya Pratha Jnana. Maya Pratha Jnana.
Apaharata.
Aparata Jnana.
Apaharan means stealing.
Or those persons whose erudite knowledge has been nullified by the influence of illusory material energy. They are mostly very learned fellows, great philosophers, poets, literati, scientists, etc. But the illusory energy misguides them and therefore they disobey the Supreme Lord.
Yeah. So first they make a mistake and then Maya has a strong grip on them. And they'll keep on making mistakes and they'll never get out. So Maya basically doesn't even help them. But if you are a devotee, Maya will help you. She will gradually release her grip. She will actually.
There are a great number of Maya Aparata Jnana at the present moment, even amongst the scholars of the Bhagavad Gita. In the Gita, in plain and simple language, it is stated that Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is none equal to or greater than him. He is mentioned as the father of Brahma, the original father of all human beings. In fact, Sri Krishna is said to be not only the father of Brahma, but also the father of all species of life. He is the root of the impersonal Brahman and Paramatma. The super soul in every entity is his plenary portion. He is the fountainhead of everything, and everyone is advised to surrender unto his lotus feet. Despite all these clear statements, the Maya Aparata Jnana deride the personality.
Deride means insult, basically.
Deride the personality of the Supreme Lord and consider him merely another human being. They do not know that the blessed form of human life is designed after the eternal and transcendental feature of the Supreme Lord.
That's a very good point, right? Human life is designed after the eternal and transcendental feature, which means here is a chance to revive your eternal constitutional position. Right? You can go back to the transcendental plane.
All the unauthorized interpretations of the Gita by the class of Maya Aparata Jnana outside the purview of Parampara system are so many stumbling blocks on the path of spiritual understanding. The deluded interpreters do not surrender unto the lotus feet of Shri Krishna, nor do they teach others to follow this principle. The last class of Dushkriti is called Asuram Bhavam Ashrita, or those of demonic principles. This class is openly atheistic. Some of them argue that the Supreme Lord can never descend upon this material world. They are unable to give any tangible reasons as to why not. There are others who make him subordinate to the impersonal feature, although the opposite is declared in the Gita. Envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the atheist will present a number of illicit incarnations manufactured in the factory of his brain. Such persons whose every principle of life is to decry the personality of Godhead cannot surrender unto the lotus feet of Shri Krishna. Shri Yamunacharya Al-Bandaru of South India said, "O my Lord, you are unknoble to persons involved with atheistic principles, despite your uncommon qualities, features, and activities, despite your personalities being confirmed by all the revealed scriptures in the quality of goodness, and despite your being acknowledged by the famous authorities renowned for their depth of knowledge in the transcendental science and situated in the godly qualities. Therefore, 1. Grossly foolish persons, 2. The lowest of mankind, 3. The deluded speculators, and 4. The professed atheists, as above mentioned, never surrendered unto the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead in spite of all scriptural and authoritative advice."
So what are the 4 classes of Dushkriti?
Foolish, lowest of mankind, deluded, speculators, and atheists.
Deluded speculators, what is the term in Sanskrit? Maya apaharita jnana. And foolish, of course, is Mudha. And what is lowest of mankind? Radhama. And then atheistic, openly atheistic, they are Ashuram Bhavam, somebody who has the Ashura Bhava or qualities, guna and qualities. Okay, we'll stop there. It's 9:07. I have to go for my service.
One question to
Yeah.
So a couple of months back, you said that we need to continuously assess ourselves, what we are doing, and especially if we are doing in a material life, we should be doing same thing in a spiritual life too. So how do you do, and on what points, how do you suggest for that? Because Monday to Friday you're running, Friday we take 1 glass and go, so that cycle is going on, but seems like
No, but Monday to Friday, this should be like, especially this and the Sunday feast should be your tonic, right? Should be your tonic so that you can sustain for an additional 5 days and again you come back for more tonic.
No, Prabhu, that I agree. I was saying, Prabhu, as you mentioned that we should continuously assess ourselves. How do you, on what point, or how do you assess yourself? Like,
How do you assess against like how much Shravanam are you doing? How much Kirtanam are you doing? How much Smaranam is happening? How much are you remembering Krishna throughout the day? So you can sing actually. You can sing the Kirtans during the day. Even at your desk, you can sing to yourself. It doesn't have to be very loud. How much
How
of
much
Smaranam?
we are avoiding the sense gratification also.
That is main. Actually, one of Prabhupada's disciples, when we went to Shravanam Kirtanam camp in Charlotte, by the way, I have to give you your checks. I never cashed your check, remember? And then I need to take a new one.
you do example of Prabhupada disciple and Shravanam camp.
Yeah, Shravanam Kirtanam camp. He said sense gratification, cutting down, that is more important than chanting. More important than chanting. So consciously, are your desires to reduce watching movies? I mean, a desire to watching movies coming down? For people who have wives, is the desire to have sex coming down? Those are the things. Sense gratification is very important. Because you can chant and then you can do all kinds of nonsense. Because chanting is not, end of the day, that difficult. If you have little determination, you can do it. And then you can continue to do all sense gratificatory activities. You're not giving up anything here. So you're trying to chant and then you're pouring petrol on the fire. The fire is growing. You're trying to control the fire and again pouring petrol. So fire is going up. So sense gratification is like the petrol. It's increasing the fire, and then we'll continue to be in the fire of conditional existence. Right? 100% giving up may not be possible, but it should be 90% giving up. And gradually that remaining 10% will go away automatically. Without your knowing, it will go away. Yeah? But it all comes down to, are you convinced, right? I mean, are you convinced that you want to go back to the spiritual world? If you're not convinced, then nobody can help you. Other people can only give you information.
We are convinced, but we are not determined.
Yeah, not determined. Yeah, that is correct. That is correct. 100% correct.